restriction bans on Uganda?
Thank you. Thank you, David. And thank you for giving me again another opportunity. I would say we live by the grace of God. We have seen most of these things happen years and years. And if you have reached a stage where we are today discussing, then you need to give the glory to God. I would say, okay, there is a saying that the prevention is better than the cure, which sometimes is better to be a bit conscious on some other issues. So when it comes like restrictions on traveling issues, I also want you to note that we are living in fear, and we are living in a political world where you get that some of these politicians, until they do that, that's when they can get a cake. That's when they can actually get that they sit on tables for negotiations. Some of these restrictions are just for mere talks and get gains out of them. So I don't think it is actually, to me, yes, we need to prevent this, but we also need to be careful when it comes the growth of the economy in Africa. We shouldn't actually restrict ourselves because we have identified one or two problems somewhere. So we need to be a bit conscious, but also be a bit alert on the economy situation in Africa in general, not only in Uganda or Congo. We need to move so that we do business. But in actual sense, there is a lot of political lot of political kind of interference in some of these kind of diseases we are talking about.
Now, you said there is a lot of political interference in all of this. Maybe you can help Africans make sense of that particular statement because, again, yes, there is also the restriction by the U.S. On her citizens from any citizen who is coming from either the DRC or even Uganda. But then the statement that you made earlier about the political involvement, maybe you can shed more light on it for Africans to understand better.
Yeah, I just want to give you an example of recent pronouncements in actually between the US and Kenya, where you get that some goodies have been actually released to Kenya just to help US try to keep, but you get that some of the things which government to government agree, you get that these are politicians which actually are gaining out of them. That's why when I bring that statement of political interference, there is a lot actually affects the life of a common person. You get that these are people who really need assistance, but you get that our leaders take this now as a chance to actually advocate or to look for a support for their political gains, which is unfortunate for Africa.
All right, and let me take this conversation to Nairobi, where Mr. Martins is standing by. Now, Mr. Martins, as a financial advisor, what would be your take on the restrictions of travel from and, of course, to Uganda and the DRC? Because this is a conversation that has, again, affected these two countries, particularly their economy and how they do business. What's your take on that as well? And of course, as a financial advisor.
Thank you, Mr. David. To start with, three things that are affecting us as African. It is illiteracy, ignorance, and disease. Like now, we have a pandemic of Ebola in DRC and Uganda that is affecting across the globe. Like now, the current issue being restrictions. We have seen African leaders receiving incentive. I will call it incentive is because when these funds comes to the country, they doesn't get to consolidated fund, whereby to address the issue of health. These funds goes to few individuals for their own benefit. Hence, you find the issue to address Ebola that funds has not helped any area of health system. So that we call it ignorance. So the end of state in Africa, they are ignorance in the basic need to the citizen of the young governor of the young governing country. In the issue of restriction in Uganda, whereby we see the U.S. government restricting even their own citizen to travel to U.S. They are quarantined here in Kenya. Then from that, from the period prescribed, they go back to their country. But why is Kenya accepting foreigners who have been denied access to their country? We call that ignorance. And if we are ignorant, it will cost us so much. And the reason they are ignorant, the end of state are ignorant, is because if they get ill, if a president right now become affected by Ebola, he will travel with our taxpayer money, which he can hire and get and go to any country overseas for treatment. What about the millions of the citizens? So that's where the issue base of ignorance comes from. Secondly, when there is restriction, it means economy is stagnant and nothing is moving on. So the best course of action is to prioritize the issue at hand, which is health. And the issue of health, the government should prepare in advance, understanding there is emergency fund to address any disaster, pandemic. That money now, any area of development should be embarrassed, and more resources go to address the issue of pandemic. But if the economy is stagnant, the health system is not addressing the current need, that country is in a dire constraint in matters of health system. You visit a facility, you cannot get a painkiller because still the corruption is eating our revenue and our taxes.
Okay, now I like the fact that you said corruption is on one hand a major conversation in all of this, because yes, there is also the appeal by the Ugandan government, particularly on the 15.8 million US dollars in aid that was, of course, supposed to be given to the Ugandan government. But on the part of corruption, African leaders are always in the eye of these kind of conversation. How can the foreign bodies right now do better with the aid that they send to the African governments to help mitigate this kind of outbreaks? Because this is something that we should be preparing for, not being reactive afterwards. We should be proactive, not being reactive. Your take on that as well, in maybe 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. David. You see, the issue of accountability will not happen because the oral process was compromised. Well, you find the court and it injected the proposal of United States building facility or quarantine facility in Kenya, but the government progressively went and implement that facility. This shows that the accountability cannot happen because the oral process was compromised. The only thing that can happen, accountability comes from a free will. If something is given, is offered with a good will and good interest, actually accountability comes from that scenario. But when the oral process is compromised, the issue of accountability cannot happen. Secondly, it is what we call capture of institutions. Like now, when Ministry of Health cannot work independently, the officials cannot make decision independently. There must be earned from the state. It means the process, the operation will be compromised, and that's where the issue of corruption happens. So let's have independence of institution to address the issue affecting common man or the entire government and governance process.
All right, then let me bring this conversation to Nigeria. Now, Barrister, looking at this conversation that we're having, and I dare say at this point, it is so very much a huge conversation, because about 2,000 cases combined, or 2,400 cases combined of the Budumbugyo strain of the Ebola virus has been uncovered in both the DRC and the Uganda. Now, let's talk about the part where travel restrictions, even all across Africa, was placed on these two countries. What impact do you think this will be having? Now, let's not even talk about the US, because the US said no citizen of theirs, not to talk of citizens of other countries, of those countries, would ever step into their country without going through the facility in Kenya. What's your take about this as well? And of course, economically, what impact will it be having on these two countries who are still trying to find their feet?
This restriction is against the law.
Nigeria is also a part of this.
Yes, it's against the law of any human being. You have the freedom of movement and freedom of association as enshrined in all constitution and in all jurisdiction. In fact, it's a natural law.
Does it not have an exception when it comes to situations like this?
Good. Now, when there is something like that, please, what you do is do what? What you are supposed to do is to be selective. You isolate those or quarantine those with cases like this. And when you quarantine them, you now do the needful by taking care of them. You don't quarantine a man and abandon him without treatment. I have said it before. You don't quarantine a man in a situation of war and then you abandon him. Meanwhile, bullets are flying all over his head in that enclosure. You expect him to sit down there and be waiting? David, do you expect them to be waiting? Look, when government want to do something right, let them do it right. We will applaud them. All the restrictions we are talking about, yes, it is necessary at least to save the community from harm and all that. But the people you are isolating, what are you doing about them? Did you quarantine them and then abandon them? Meanwhile, rebels are fighting all over. In fact, some of them were even adopted from the camp where you kept them and all that. So what have you done? What have you done? You have to be proactive since you know that your environment is prone to this Ebola. Remember, this is not the first, second or third time Ebola is breaking out in that area. I hope you know. It's a common disease. So at every point in time, the thing will just break out. So since you know, what are you doing as a government?
Isn't the government so overwhelmed at this point to be able to mitigate?
You are the one that
situation.
You allow yourself to be overwhelmed, because from the initial case, you should have taken proactive action. But you allow it to escalate. You allow it to escalate.
We're talking about a country at war, Barrister.
Good. That is what I'm saying here. The warring parties, because this is an internal matter. This is an internal matter. The warring party should have borrowed the sense from some people outside and say, look, this disease is deadly. It doesn't know a soldier. It doesn't know a nurse. It doesn't know anybody. As long as you're a human being, you are prone to be affected. And so, are they not supposed to advise themselves? Both the rebels and the government. And say, look at what we have at our hand, though. Whatever you do, this red line, you must not cross it. Is that not what they're supposed to do? But it's like nobody took caution. It has become a free-for-all. And you expect the people infected to be waiting. You are not taking care of them. You are not doing what you're supposed to do. And you believe that they will listen to you. They too will take off from where you kept them.
All right, then. Because of our time, let's jump into another conversation. And we'll be going to South Africa in this conversation. And Barrister, I'm still staying with you. The On the xenophobic attacks in South Africa, the former public prosecutor and protector, Professor Tuli Madonsela, is practically calling on all employers to work with government to address South Africa's immigration challenges. Now, he's carefully warning that violence against migrants, just like is happening, could harm trade in the country and is presently harming investor confidence and, again, the position of South Africa in Africa as a continent. Your take on that?
When this, I told you that let South Africa do what they want to do, and then let's see how the economy will fare in the next maybe 3-4 years. I said it here because you cannot reverse nature. David, I equally told that go and check all over the world. Countries that have developed, they develop because of influx of what? Migrants. When America was doing visa lottery, you think they are stupid? You think they don't know what they are doing? Go and look at the effect of those people they invited into America. They brought in the best of the best all over the world into their country, and they made them citizens.
Is it possible that the government is not fully hands-on, that this would affect trade and even investor confidence? Is it possible?
When politics is in the air, politicians don't borrow themselves sense. This xenophobic attack was majorly fueled by what? Politics. Majorly. More so when Cyril Ramaphosa is fighting for his political survival. He had 2 issues on his hand. The scandal at Fala Fala Farm.
Yes.
And then this issue. And so he was hamstrung. He couldn't do anything. The opposition will lash at him if he tries to be politically right. And that was why the man said, look, I can't face these people. Oh. Just do it peacefully. Then the opposition now took advantage. Meanwhile, they didn't think that in the next few years down the line, the economy of South Africa will suffer because these people are adding value, no matter how small. No matter how small, these people that you are chasing, they are adding value to your economy. You cannot deny that. Now that you are chasing them away and your youths are too lazy to do anything, David, you see how people foolishly shoot themselves at the right foot. I said it here. I said it. That they are going to suffer this thing few years down the line.
Let's also get the view of Barrister Edward. Looking at this conversation, in fact, one of the ministers, I'm talking about the Minister of Culture, I think, I can't remember off my head now, did say that South African artists and, of course, South African artists are complaining that the contracts that were signed with international bodies before the xenophobic attack is presently being cancelled as a result of the aftermath of the xenophobic attack. This, again, is affecting trade, it's affecting several things. And to think that the former public protector, Professor Tuli, is clearly saying right now that this is going to be affecting even investor confidence in South Africa. What is your take with this situation, Barrister Edward?
Thank you, David. Let me tell you, it is so disturbing, more especially where you get civil war is actually disturbing or affecting a nation. Where you get diseases, sickness is actually affecting the people. Where you get anger is involved affecting the people. So when you talk of South Africa has created its own enemy. And that enemy is not going only to be economy. It's going to be actually expounded. It's going to be expanded into so many things, including what you are seeing Congo is actually facing. Because they say, even the God who created you, sometimes gives powers. And when you deny its people, I tell you for sure, there is always a curse on that. So South Africa should be prepared within a short run that they will need to apologize to fellow Africans and the fellow one people who have lived in South Africa and have actually lost their businesses just because of various issues which they would have actually addressed through their government, not to actually cause this kind of a damage. This is a damage which is being created, and it's going to be really serious. So I think it is unfortunate for them, and they have started too early, but I know time is coming for them to actually see the reality of their actions, that it's not good.
All right, then, let me take this conversation to Nairobi. And of course, Mr. Martins, as a financial advisor, looking at these conversations on trade, being affected as a result of migrants already leaving the country. I mean, Nigeria, over 1,000 of them have left. Same in Kenya, same in Ghana, same in Malawi, same in Uganda. These people have left. And now there is the call to caution as against the aftermath of the exit of these nationals. Your take as well.
Thank you, Mr. David. I think South Africans are thinking either within box or outside the box. But I dare the South Africa to think without the box, because the box will become another scene. Essentially, if we look across the state of Africa, the big Taiwan companies investors are from South Africa. Like here in Nairobi, the Tier 1 companies in the insurance, banking, they come from South Africa. So they take revenue, profit from our country and they take it to their country of origin. Basically, when this revenue gets to South Africa, they say it is from immigrant or from foreign countries. So whatever they are doing, there is a book I read about, it was called Strengths of Tenderness. It was saying what goes round comes round. So whatever they are doing may affect them, and the South African become a country that that doesn't have influential or power over the Africa, because what they are doing is overtaken by effect. They are taking South African independence to the eras and to the culture of the late past. So indeed, we are in current state of life where high-tech social development, artificial intelligence, whereby the global has become a village. So we should accommodate each one so that we can build life and impact life. If we think South Africa, they are thinking like slaves. They should harness the development of the current world and forge forward to our most powerful economic country in Africa.
All right, let me stay with you. Let me stay with you.
Will affect them and they will be in dire constraint.
Mr. Martins, let me stay with you, and I need you to answer maybe in one sentence. What is the current situation, particularly about the collapse of the Kilima Pesa gold mine in Logorian, the Narcoc County? Because we understand 5 people are dead as a result of that gold mine collapse. But then what's the situation in that particular county? And I'm talking about the Narcoc County with this collapsed gold mine.
Thank you, David. It's losing people from the mining areas. I think weather has changed progressively over the time, and those kind of regions are in Rift Valley becomes weak, and becoming weak is whereby we are experiencing this kind of corrupt gold mine collapsing. So the only avenue it is that gold is generating revenue to the government, and these people are paying taxes to the government. So government should refill the oil spectrum and provide these men and women with the equipment for mining, so that we can avoid such kind of occurrence to the future.
All right, then let me take it back to Uganda. Barrister Edward, your take as well on this particular mine collapse. Now, we understand that there's been a bit of a struggle to get the people who are still trapped underneath to come out as a result of no very sophisticated equipment. I mean, that is also talking about development within the mining sector. What's your take as well? 5 people already confirmed dead as a result of this. Maybe in 30 seconds as well, because we're out of time.
David, one thing I want you to understand, it is only in Africa where we struggle with this kind of calamities. In some very good countries which actually organized with the policy making, skilling them, their generations, and you get that avoiding political fights. You get that they are really, mining is one of the areas which benefits the communities. So I feel that the political giants should actually think of coming in. That is now the government we are facing in, at least to skill people and also introduce policies which are going to guide when you're actually investing in this mining industry.
All right, then let me bring it back to Nigeria here. Barrister, this is a mining site that, again, the government knows is there, and they also have people working there. But to think that that's a mining site is, is having major lack of specialized equipment. Thus, the reason why when these happen, 5 people confirmed dead, several people still trapped in that particular site. Your take as well. Maybe
African leaders don't care about African people. They are not interested in you. They just want to exploit you as much as they can. The people are as good as they can be used. After that, anything can happen to you. David, how many times have this type of thing happened in Africa? Did anybody learn any lesson? At least somebody should have said, okay, let me go and learn how this thing is done. Even outside Africa. Before you can extract this gold, there are procedures and processes. How many times did you hear that it happened in the Western world, especially Australia? Australia, that is known to be an expert in this type of thing. Can't you contract people who knows how to do this thing?
Quite unfortunate,
but
really.
You prefer to use your people.
Well,
then after using them, you abandon them. When Africa is not growing, David, what do you think is the reason? Because the human capital development is not taken care of. They don't care about the human capital here. That is why your youths are running to the Western world to go and develop their economy, because they care for them over there.
Quite unfortunate, really. And we are hoping that as the story progresses, and of course, we'll be getting infielders from our analysts all in Kenya on the development of this particular situation. This is where we have to draw anchor on the analysis segment of the African News. We've been talking with Barrister Darlington.